Mama, so we have a guest?
Guest? I don't remember discussing any guest with you, woman. Well, meet Rita. She's your new maid. She'll be staying here henceforth.
Maid? I didn't request for one, Mama. I don't need any. I've been coping, managing and balancing everything well. I'm not complaining.
Says who? You're doing nothing. You cannot manage to give my son a child. Isn't it part of what you're supposed to do? The least you can do is accept help, and that's why I've brought her here.
Bode, Mama brought a new wife for you. She said she's a maid. Are you aware?
Mama said she's a maid to help you. Why are you jumping into conclusion, woman?
A maid, without even asking me. So you're part of these? I can't believe this right now, Bode.
You're free to believe whatever you want to believe. I'm out of here.
If only Bode and his mother knows what this really is. But it's late. I'll make sure they both regret this!
The day Sharon discovered the truth, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She walked calmly to her bag, pulled out a sealed envelope and waited. She had been waiting for 2 years. A few more hours wouldn't kill her. Sharon and Bode had been married 7 years. No child. That was all anyone saw when they looked at her. Not the woman who worked double shifts to support her husband's struggling business. Not the woman who nursed his mother through a kidney surgery that lasted 6 hours, sitting outside the theater alone because no other family member arrived in time. Not the woman who held her marriage together with both hands while it tried to fall apart at every seam. Just no child. But this family had never forgiven her for it. His mother, in particular, had made it her mission to ensure Sharon never forgot. Family gatherings, Sunday lunches, phone calls that always ended the same way. Mama Bode's voice dropping to something soft and dangerous. We are still waiting, Sharon. God answers those who are patient. Are we going to be patient for life? As if Sharon's waiting looked different from everyone else's. Bode never joined in openly. He wasn't that kind of man. But she noticed the distance growing in small, undeniable ways. The way he stopped reaching for her hand at church. The way he answered his mother's calls in the corridor now, the door half closed. The way he looked at children playing in the street, that long, hollow look, and then turned away before she could catch his eye. He was grieving. She understood that. What she didn't know was that his grief had made him weak in a way that other people were about to take advantage of. Sharon came home early on a Tuesday with a headache building behind her eyes. She opened her front door and stopped. There was a young woman sitting in her living room like she already lived there, not perching nervously the way guests do. Settled, legs crossed, eyes moving around the room with quiet, unhurried assessment. She was stunning, the kind of beauty that doesn't happen by accident. She looked up. "Good evening, ma." Mama Bode appeared from the hallway, moving with the confidence of someone in their own home, which was the problem. This was not Mama Bode's home, but she had taken over and she had learned to deal with it. "You are back," she gestured toward the girl. "This is Rita, your new maid." Sharon looked at Rita's pressed blouse, her manicured nails, the small neat bag by her feet that looked like it had never seen a village. "But Mama, I didn't ask for a maid," Sharon said. "You work every day, the house needs help." "I'm okay, Mama. I manage everything fine." "No, you did not. You cannot manage to give my son a child. It's part of it. The least you can do is accept help with the house." Sharon looked at Bode. He was standing by the window with his back to the room, pretending to look at something outside. He had heard everything. He didn't turn around. That single moment, his back, the window, the silence, told Sharon more than any argument could have. She picked up her bag, walked to their bedroom, closed the door quietly behind her. She sat on the edge of the bed and looked at the wall for a long time. This is no maid. She gave it 2 weeks before she started paying attention properly. The signs were small at first. Bode stayed up later than usual, coming to bed after she was already asleep, careful not to wake her. Waking before sunrise and sleeping out before she stirred. She noticed that he had started showering at night instead of morning, which he had never done in 7 years of marriage. She told herself it was stress, work, the business. Then one night, she woke at 2 a.m. and reached across the bed, empty. She lay still and listened. The house was quiet in the specific way that means someone is trying to make it quiet. She got up, moved down the hallway. Rita's room was at the far end, what used to be the storage room, before Mama Bode had it cleared and furnished in a single efficient afternoon. The door was closed, no light underneath it, but she stood there long enough to hear her husband's voice on the other side, low and private, the voice he used to use with her. She walked back to the bedroom, sat on the bed, and pressed her hands flat on her thighs and breathed until the shaking stopped. She had two choices. She could confront him tonight in the dark with no proof and no plan and watch it become her fault somehow, or she could wait. She pulled the blanket up to her chin and made a decision.
3 months later, Rita was pregnant. Mama Bode announced it at dinner like a victory speech, her eyes going straight to Sharon's face to watch it land. From that day, the roles changed, quietly at first, then openly, then without apology. Sharon cooked, Rita rested. Sharon cleaned, Rita was told not to stress herself. When visitors came, Sharon served them and washed their plates and stood for hours while Rita sat in the best chair in the sitting room, receiving people like a woman of honor. "Don't let her carry anything," Mama Bode would say, tilting her head toward Rita. Then, without missing a beat, "Sharon, go and bring more drinks." No one protested, not even Bode. But one Saturday broke something in Sharon that didn't fully heal. There was a family engagement. Sharon had pressed her dress the night before and polished her shoes and was ready by 8 in the morning. They all got into the car, Bode driving, Rita in front and Sharon in the back. 20 minutes in, Mama Bode called from the other car. Bode pulled over, turned to Sharon. "My mother says we'll be full when we pick up Uncle Emeka. You'll need to take a bike from here." Sharon looked at him. He held her gaze, but his jaw tightened, bracing. "Are you serious right now, Bode?" She couldn't believe her ears. "I'm sorry, Sharon. Don't let's make a big deal of this. Rita is pregnant. I would have asked her instead." She opened the door, stepped out, stood on the roadside in her pressed dress and polished shoes while the car drove away and disappeared around the bend. An Okada man nearby had seen everything and was looking at the ground. A woman across the road was not pretending. She laughs at her. Sharon flagged down a bike, sat on it with her bag in her lap, arrived at the function 15 minutes later, walked in smiling, greeted every relative warmly, ate a little, and laughed at the right moment as if nothing happened. Nobody knew. But in her mind, a decision had quietly finished forming. She was done waiting for the right moment to arrive on its own. She was going to create it. 4 years into their marriage, Sharon and Bode had gone to a specialist together, a clinic in the next state, far enough that no family member would see them walking through those doors. The doctor ran tests on both of them. 2 weeks later, Sharon went back alone to collect results. The doctor sat across from her and spoke carefully. "Your results are completely normal, Sharon. You are capable of conception." A pause. "The challenge is on Bode's side. His sperm count is critically low. Without treatment, natural conception is very unlikely." She absorbed that quietly. "He needs to come in," the doctor said. She said, "He won't." She already knew Bode would never sit across from a doctor who might tell him the problem was him. His pride would not survive it. She thought about his blood pressure, the medication he already took every morning. She thought about what news like this, delivered badly, could do to a man like him. "Please," she said, "give me time to prepare him. Let me do it the right way." The doctor gave her medication for Bode's condition, a slow treatment plan, the kind designed to work gradually without drama. She drove home with the pills in her bag and the truth sitting heavy in her chest. She never found the right moment, because 3 weeks later, Rita arrived and the house became somewhere else entirely. Sharon kept the test result in a locked box under her side of the bed. She looked at it sometimes at night when the house was quiet and Bode was down the hall somewhere he shouldn't be. Not yet, she told herself each time. She had a plan now. She just needed the right stage. The right time will come and it will be her stage. Then one night, it was past midnight when the sound cut through the house. Sharon was already sitting up before she was fully awake. She had been sleeping lightly for weeks, the way people do when they are waiting for something, though she couldn't have said exactly what. She found Rita on the floor of her room, gripping the bed frame, her face soaked with sweat. It's coming, Rita gasped. Sharon moved fast, phone out, calling Bode, calling the neighbor with a car, grabbing a towel and Rita's maternity file from the dresser, and speaking clearly to everyone while Rita made sounds that bounced off every wall. In the car, Rita grabbed Sharon's hand, gripped it so hard the knuckle joint ground together. Sharon let her grip. She wiped sweat from Rita's face, talked her through each contraction in a low, steady voice. Breathe. I'm right here. Breathe. At the hospital, Bode and Mama Bode arrived 20 minutes after them, breathless. Mama Bode walked straight past Sharon to the nurse's station without a glance. Sharon sat in a plastic chair by the wall. She sat there all night. At 5:47 a.m., a nurse came out. Baby boy, mother and child are fine. The family erupted in the corridor, hugging, praising, weeping. Bode and his mother held each other for a long time. Sharon watched from her chair. Nobody came to include her. She reached into her bag and touched the envelope she had started carrying 2 weeks ago. Thick paper, sealed. The doctor's stamp is visible through the back. 1 more week, she told herself. The compound was full by 9 in the morning. Canopies, a live band, caterers carrying trays, and relatives arriving from 4 different states. Mama Bode moved through it all like a general who had won a long war. Sharon had been awake since 4. Jollof, fried rice, pepper soup, and moi moi. Her feet were already aching when the first guests arrived. She served, directed, managed, and smiled at everyone who greeted her. Rita sat under the main canopy in white lace, the baby against her chest, holding court. At noon, the pastor called for the offering session. People stood up one by one, walked forward and dropped envelopes in the basket. Money, goodwill, and prayers for the new child. Sharon stood up. She walked to the front. She placed her envelope in the basket and stepped back. But hers was different, sealed, a name written on the front in clean, steady handwriting, for the attention of the family. The pastor looked at it, then looked at her. She nodded once. He opened it. He read it silently first. His expression shifted. Not dramatically, just a stillness that settled over him like he had touched something solid in a room full of noise. The people closest to him noticed and went quiet. That quiet moved outward through the canopy the way a shadow moves. Then he read it aloud. The full report, the date, the clinic name, the doctor's signature, the diagnosis in plain language that left no room for interpretation. Low sperm count, severely compromised, natural conception without medical intervention, highly unlikely. Someone shouted from behind, "Hey, whoa! Jesus Christ!" The family doctor, seated 3 rows back as a guest, stood up slowly. He confirmed it. He had seen Bode's general health file for years and had privately questioned why the fertility issue was never addressed. He had assumed it was a private decision. Every head turned to Bode. Bode was staring at Sharon. All the color had left his face. Then every head turned to Rita. Rita's hand had started shaking. The baby felt it and began to stare. Her eyes moved once to the exit and found no help there. Mama Bode's voice was iron. "Rita?" Rita looked at her. "Who is the father of this child?" The question hung in the canopy like smoke. Rita looked down at the baby. Her face crumpled slowly, the way a wall cracks before it falls. "Richard," she whispered, pointing at the direction of the man. The name landed like something dropped from a height. Richard, Bode's driver, a quiet, polite man who had worked for the family for 6 years, who sat outside functions in the car and was handed food through the window, who everyone treated as part of the furniture. "We grew up together," Rita said, her voice barely holding. "Same village. We never stopped." She couldn't finish the sentence. But here was the twist nobody saw coming. From the 3rd row, Richard himself stood up. He had been invited as staff and was seated quietly at the back of the canopy since morning. He stood now with the careful stillness of a man who had made a decision and was seeing it through. "I want to take responsibility," he said, "for the child and for my part in this." The canopy went completely silent. He looked at Bode directly. "I'm sorry. What we did was wrong. I am not asking for forgiveness today. I am asking to be honest, and I would like to let you know I am resigning officially." Bode stared at him for a long moment. Then Bode's legs buckled and he fainted. Ceremony scattered as he was rushed to the hospital. He spent 11 days in the hospital, blood pressure and shock. His body had simply refused to carry what his mind couldn't process. Sharon visited every day. Some days he didn't speak. Some days she sat beside him and they watched the small hospital television together without registering a single thing on the screen. On the 5th day, he started talking and couldn't stop about his mother, his pride, the years he had told himself he was protecting Sharon by not challenging his family, when really he was protecting himself from having to stand up. She listened without interrupting. When he ran out of words, the room was quiet for a long time. "I knew I had wronged you," he said eventually. "I don't know if you would ever forgive me." He looked at his hands. "For letting them blame you all along." Sharon didn't respond immediately. "You protected me," he said. "Even through everything they did to you, you still protected me." "I protected myself," she said. "I needed the timing to be right." He looked at her. "But yes," she added, quieter, "I also protected you, because you would have fathered another man's child unknowingly. I don't deserve you." "No, you don't. So tell me what you are going to do about that." He nodded slowly. "Whatever you need, anything." "Treatment first," she said. "Then we'll talk about everything else." Mama Body was present, but was too shocked and full of regret to talk. She just stood there like a piece of wood, her face drained of color. They started properly this time. The specialist, the medication, and monthly appointments they attended together without hiding from anyone. Bode also called a family meeting and told his relatives plainly what he should have said years earlier, that his wife had been treated badly under his roof and he had allowed it, that it would not happen again, that anyone who could not respect Sharon was not welcome in his home. His mother was not present for that meeting. She had stopped coming around after the naming ceremony because she couldn't stand to look at Sharon in the face again. But 6 weeks later, she came. She appeared in the kitchen doorway early on a weekday morning while Sharon was making tea. She stood there so long that Sharon had to look up. Mama Bode looked smaller than Sharon remembered, like something had gone out of her. She sat down at the kitchen table. She didn't have a speech prepared. She didn't offer explanations. She simply sat there like a woman who had finally understood something and didn't know how to say it, so she was just showing up instead. Sharon looked at her for a moment. Then she poured a second cup of tea and set it on the table. And that was where they started. She knelt before her and cried like a baby, begging her to forgive her. Mama Bode hugged her tightly as if afraid she would disappear and said, "Thank you." 9 months later, Bode sat alone in the hospital waiting room at 2 a.m. He had not moved in over an hour. Every time footsteps came down the corridor, he looked up. A nurse passed, not for him. He looked back at the floor. He thought about the roadside, his wife stepping out of the car in her pressed dress and polished shoes, standing in the dust while he drove away. He had relived that moment more times than he could count. At 4:22 a.m., the doctor appeared. Bode stood immediately. "Your wife is well now," the doctor was smiling, "and your children are well." Bode stared at him. "Children?" "Twins, a boy and a girl." He sat back down, put his face in his hands. His shoulders shook, cried like a baby. The doctor left him to it. Down the hall, Sharon lay in the hospital bed. One baby on her left, one on her right, both asleep, making the small, unconscious sounds of new people who have no idea what world they have arrived in. She was exhausted all the way through. Her body felt like it had been taken apart and put back together. But she looked at the two faces beside her and felt something settle in her chest, something that had been loose and anxious for 7 years, longer, finally finding its place. She had stood on a roadside in a pressed dress. She had served food to people who walked past her. She had slept beside an empty space for months and said nothing. She had carried a truth that was not hers to carry, to protect a man who was not yet ready to protect her. And she was still here, still standing. She looked at her children and thought, let them inherit this, not the pain, but the patience, the kind that knows its own worth and waits for the right moment, not the easiest one. The boy stirred slightly. She put her finger in his small hand. He held it without waking up. There it is, she thought. Finally, the truth doesn't need your help to survive. It just needs time and the right moment. Thanks for watching. Let us know your thoughts about the story in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you.